Mahadev Atmanaha. Today is a very special occasion because we are starting the Dharmic Dialogue, sort of a casual question and answer series. It's also very special because I get to introduce Radhika to all our social media handles, as well as this Dharmic Dialogue series. So welcome, Radhika.
Mahadev, everyone. It's certainly a great honor to be sitting here and just have a very casual, informal chat about many dilemmas which I go through personally in life, and when I speak to my acquaintances and social circles, there are many questions and confusions which need to be cleared, and there's never really a go-to person or scripture. Everything is all a haze at times, and I wish in this Dharmic dialogue that we can sort out a few confusions and sow a path where we can understand what some of the things that we go through in life in general, and other questions that we have personally as well. So I'd like to again welcome you. You've welcomed me, but I'd like to welcome you and start off with the first question that we have. All the questions that we have gathered here today, we have had a lot of questions coming in through various different social media platforms and also WhatsApp and emails. But we have picked very few questions which are mostly suitable and something that a lot of people would like to ask and have confusions about and like to ponder on further. So I hope that the following questions that we have picked today can help you and clear your doubts and concerns. The first is, what is the Gitopdesh? Why did you choose Gita as your topic for discussion? And more so, what is different about the Shukacharya Gitopdesh?
Well, I think that name has been given certainly by whoever has asked that question, but it is not exactly my Gitopadesh. It is in fact the very essence of the Acharya Paddhati, which has pronounced upon the topic of the Gita through the ages. Now, there are a few things which of course are new, taking into account the three things which are Desh, Kal and Patra. These are the situation that we find ourselves in the land, in different countries. And of course, this is the 21st century, so making Gita not relevant for the 21st century, because Gita remains relevant irrespective of time, but making it accessible for people. And of course, the Patra, which means the very individual. Now, this is what is a concept of the Acharya Paddhati, that we take a Shastra and we make it fit society, fit the time, and fit the individual. And this is exactly what the Gitopadesh is about. Of course, it comes from two terms, Gita and Upadesh. I think I have explained the term Upadesh in an earlier video. The Gita is, as explained in, I think, the first video, the first shlok of the first chapter, the importance of the Gita and why it remains so exalted and why it is an absolute must for anybody seeking the very essence of the Sanatana Dharma. For me personally, Gita is not only just an Isht Granth, which means the Granth, the text, which is my Isht as well. It is also a core of the Vedanta Darshan, the Darshan that I study and I imbibe and I follow. Vedanta comes from two terms, Ved and Ant. Right? You have Ved. Now, when we talk about Ved, we talk about the four Ved, Rig, Sam, Yajur, Atharva. But Vidividyane, it means knowledge. So the Ved is sort of a collection of universal laws, as explained and as understood by the ancient rishis. Now, Anta does not mean end. I think many times, even in conversation, when we say Ant, it means the end. But in Vedanta, the Anta does not refer to the end of the Ved. Anta means Rahasya. It means the secret of Ved. And the secrets of the Ved, as explained in the Upanishads, which are the conversations, the discourses based on Vedic truths, This is essentially the essence of all of it. And so, naturally, Gita Sugita Kartavya Kimanyaihi Shastra Sangrahehi Ya Swayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmadvinisrita. I'm sure we must have heard this shlok or read this shlok in much of our Gita Dhyan that we do in our study, of scriptural study of the Gita. That Gita Sugita Kartavya, there is only one that we read, to be listened to be read, to be understood, to be imbibed, to be practiced, and that is Gita, the Sugita, the great Gita, the auspicious Gita. Kimanyehi Shastra Sangrahehi. Why bother collecting all these other Shastra? Ya Swayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmad Vinisrita. This Gita has come out from the lotus mouth of the one with the lotus belly, i.e. Vishnu, Krishna himself. This has come out from him. So this was, of course, one of the other reasons why I picked the Gita. And there are many different texts which will also be included in the Gitopadesh. One of the special sort of ways which I wish to go about doing the Gitopadesh is that, of course, starting from the second chapter, which is when the Shankarmat actually begins, it is Adiguru Shankaracharya's Mahabhashya, which I will try to include in the Gitopadesh. So far, of course, these are the very first few shloks, and they tend to go with the names and the warriors and all these explanations in the first chapter. So we are going through that. I'm sure as definitely some of our viewers might be also watching, and of course you know, Radhika, that we've done near enough about 20 shloks. But starting with the second chapter, there will be a lot more of darshanik truths which will be revealed, especially related to the Shankarmat, which comes from the Shankara Bhashya that Adiguru Shankaracharya wrote on the Gita.
That's great. As much as I completely respect that, and I have been shooting you, so it's been a treat so far. My only hesitance when I ask you this question is, I spend a lot of time with people from many different walks of life and faith in general. How is Gitopdesh, the series Gitopdesh or Gita, as a scripture, how is it relevant for people from all backgrounds and faith? Because I feel that it's only the Sanatanis, or the term only Hindus, and I feel maybe that's not of course, as the foundation, Shukacharya's foundation, where we are targeting people of all walks and faith, primarily, of course, the Sanatanis. How can people from other walks of faith and beliefs, what can they take out of the Gita?
I think there are a few questions in there all at once. Let's take a few Let's understand first of all the whole concept about what we're calling religion and what we're calling faith, and we can talk about that later. But a very good question of why do we talk about the Gita, and why is it just for Sanatanis? It's absolutely not. It is certainly not. One thing which I will mention, and it's something which every acharya who speaks upon any topic, any dharmic topic, needs to state, the moola of this shastra is, of course, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, as I already mentioned. This is very much a part of Sanatan Dharma. This is the Sanatan Dharma. So let us not go beyond and dilute the fact that it's completely got nothing to do with Sanatan Dharma, it's got nothing to do with Dharma, and we're just talking about some sort of, world. True, it's very true. These are truths which are applicable for all people, of all ages, of all walks of life. When we are going to be looking at the Gita, we're going to be seeing that Bhagavan Shri Krishna has been given so many names, very many names. You have Krishna, you have Vasudeva, you have so many of these names. None of these are mentioned. Only what is mentioned is Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Shad Aishwarya Yukt Aishwarsya Samagrasya Dharmasya Yashasah Shriyah Jnana Vairagya Yoshteva Sharanam Bhaga iti Rana. This is what the meaning of Bhaga is. Bhaga, Bhagavan, one who has these 6 qualities. So when we're talking about the Gita and we're talking about Paramatma actually speaking, we're not talking about certain religion's God. We're talking about the very essence of the Supreme who is speaking. Now that Supreme can be Mahadev for me. It can be something else for you. It can be Krishna for you. It can be Mata for somebody else. The ultimate does not change. Ultimate has to remain ultimate. You can't have more than one ultimate, otherwise it's not ultimate enough.
Absolutely.
And this is exactly the reason. So yes, the Gita is there for people to read, to study, to learn, to take the essence and the knowledge that the Gita has. And I think what we should do is we should understand and respect the fact that it is a dharmic text. It has its own protocol, which needs to be maintained and respected, but it is an essential truth, which I'm sure that everybody can take something from.
That's great. Well, that definitely clears my doubts. Again, welcome to all of our followers, people who have joined in so far. I'm sitting quite far away, so I can't see or read any of the comments, but we do welcome you, and we welcome any other questions which we can incorporate in our next series and the next part of the Dharmic Dialogue. This brings me to my next question, which is, of course, an onset of the question that we have been discussing so far. Spiritual and non-ritualistic people are looked down upon by orthodox religious individuals. Can one attain oneness with the above just by doing good, concentrating on themselves, and having faith? Is it really necessary to be ritualistic or reform to just one way of faith to attain salvation?
Now, this is a question which I have got quite a bit. I will have to admit.
I am sure.
I have got this quite a bit. I think what we're doing is we are taking a few concepts and we're sort of bringing them under one umbrella. And some of these are true, some of these I'm afraid are fabricated. Let's take these a little bit apart and maybe we can understand some of what needed to be addressed in that question. Let's actually just discuss this idea, quote unquote, religion, Hinduism, whatever. Okay. You have a very fine stream of adhyatma. Adhyatma is not spirituality. Spirituality is not a term that I would use to translate adhyatma. Adhyatma is very different. When you have adhyatma, we have dharma. Dharma is what is going to sustain this very essence of adhyatma. Without adhyatma, dharma is just a concoction of cultural beliefs with nothing adhyatmic in its nature. Without dharma as sort of a padding, adhyatmic truths are nothing but words which cannot be expressed. This is the reason why dharma has got this very fine line of adhyatma within it. Now, if we go back to your question of, I think there was something about non-ritualistic, that's absolutely fine. I'm not going to say anything about rituals and the practices. There are certain reasons why people do that. There is a certain level of understanding as per social customs that we have, whether it may be the 16 sanskar. I think that would be a very good series to make on this 16 sanskars, everything from very much before birth all the way up until Antyashti. So, these are part of social customs, rites of passage. These all collectively are what we call a part of dharma, but they're also cultural practices. Now we come to this idea of, can we be oneness? I believe there was some sort of about oneness in that question.
Absolutely. Can I attain the oneness?
Right. When we talk about oneness, let's assume that we're talking about dharma. In dharma, we have been given 10 lakshan, right? This is, of course, another video that we can definitely do, Dhritikshama, Damosteyam. But there are 10 different qualities which are given. Now, if these 10 qualities, dhritihi, courage, kshama, compassion, damo, steyam, shaucham, indriya nigraha, non-coveting, do not steal from others, morals and ethics, these are all various different ways. Are you able to cultivate these 10 qualities of dharma, the dharma lakshan? If you are, you're practicing your dharma. If you are not, you're practicing adharma. Now, when you're talking about the oneness and reaching Adhyatma and all that, first let us discuss these 10 lakshan, which we will. I think in a different episode we should be able to do that. It would be a bit long in this series.
Yeah.
So I will definitely talk about these 10 lakshans. But first we should start with, are we actually following these 10?
Mm-hmm.
Are we able to cultivate these 10 qualities in ourselves? That would be dharma. And that would be opening up our way to actually reach our Adhyatmic truth.
Well, that's definitely, when I came across this question, I personally really related to it because I've been born and brought up in a very orthodox family. And of course, my parents were very ritualistic, still are very ritualistic. My extended family is so. And I somehow felt that I was the black sheep of the family because, you know, my parents would say, or my grandparents would say, दिया जलाना होता है, आरती करनी होती है, पाठ करो, पूजा करो, हवन इत्यादि. And I never related myself to that because I never felt that just because I was performing a rite or I was performing something, that it was my connection to the one per se. I felt, you know, if I am doing right, if I am speaking the truth, which is what you rightly mentioned as well, that I was actually practicing my dharma. I was getting closer, and that's a sigh of relief for me.
Your dharma has to be relative to you. It has to fit your temperament, your persuasion. That is very much the essence of Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma is really not about one way, one thought, one book, one prophet. It doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. Dharma has to be relative. That is why you have your Swadharma.
Right.
Dharana dharma mityahu. Dharma dharayate praja. Yasya dharana sanyuktam sa dharma iti nishchayah. Dharma comes from dhri dharane. As a matter of fact, even those who might be studying a little bit of Vyakaran, dhri dharane, that's the dhatu where it actually comes from. It means to sustain. Mm-hmm. So if something sustains me, that is my dharma. I go to a job so that I can put food on the table, so that I can feed my family. That is my dharma.
Right.
I don't particularly need to sit as the havan and all the rest that you said, all the havan and the puja part and all that. That may be somebody's dharma.
Right.
But that's because it sustains them.
Right.
It helps them in their adhyatmic progress. For you, your dharma can be something completely different as long as it cultivates these 10 qualities of the dharma lakshan.
Yeah, and that is confusing because a lot of people, I mean, in different walks of faith, you're supposed to wear certain articles, you're supposed to cover your head, for example, only to be that and follow your dharma. But in reality, that's not that. It can be for a mother, I mean, please correct me if I am wrong. For a mother, her dharma is to make sure that her children are well educated, well showered and fed and looked after. Is that exactly, have I got it so far?
I think, yes, there is definitely the social ideas have definitely been addressed
right.
in your understanding. The reason I don't want to do this Dharma Lakshan dialogue right now is because it would be very long. And it's also something which is actually related to the 5 duties that we do have.
Okay.
And in your respect and what your understanding is so far, which I've been able to understand, with the mother and taking care of the children and feeding them and clothing them and educating them, is that there is definitely the social aspect, and the idea of taking care of the family definitely has been addressed. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid what hasn't exactly been addressed is the adhyatmic progress, the adhyatmic
right.
practice and process.
Right.
And that is a very important part of dharma. As a matter of fact, the last 2 lakshan, which we will talk about, cultivate that adhyatmic practice. Mm-hmm. And only through adhyatmic progress and practice will those 2 last lakshan of the dharma lakshan be seen. So this is definitely something that we will have to discuss.
I'm sure you can clear my confusions in the next dialogues, yes. Hopefully. This brings me to my 3rd question. Can some people be the reason for happiness and sadness in one's life? What are the signs of a toxic relationship at home, socially, and professionally? How do we distance ourselves and prevent upsetting ourselves? I'm sure, again, the person who has sent this, we do keep it anonymous in this foundation. unless, of course, you would like your names to be said and revealed. But I'm sure this is a student or someone who has a very, very active social life. So please shed some light on that.
Well, a social life is fine, but I think what we're talking here is about social media life. They're two very different things, and I think we will be able to address that. Paropi hitavan bandhur, bandhur rapya hita paraha, ahito dehajo vyadhir hitamaranyam aushadham. Paropi hitavan bandhuhu, oh, he is not mine. Hitavan bandhuhu, is he doing my hit? What he does, is he doing it for me, for my benefit? Mm-hmm. He is a bandhu. He is a brother. He is a brethren. Paropi hitavan bandhur. Bandhur apya hita paraha. Bandhuhu, your own brother, if he is doing your ahit, if he is ruining every single thing that you do, anything that you say, twisting that, doing this, and all the other things, the toxic ideas and all that you mentioned. Paropi hitavan bandhur, bandhurapya hita paraha. He is a par. Even though he may be your bandhu, he is par. He is separate from you. Ahito dehajo vyadhir. Ahit dehaj vyadhi. Vyadhi means illness. An illness which is being born in my own body. Yes? It is very much a part of me. It is my body, but it is a vyadhi. It is doing my ahit. It is going to ruin me. Hitamaranyam aushadham. The aushadhi, the medicinal plant, which is grown in a forest, that is doing my hit. So what do you do with that aushadhi? You take that aushadhi from outside in that forest, and you take it, either apply it or you ingest it, whatever you do. That is a medicine. Even though it is not a part of you, it is helping you. It is curing you. And that illness, which is very much a part of you, it's not doing you any favors. This is exactly what is being mentioned in this question. We all need to understand, going back to, in fact, our dharma lakshan. Toxic relationships, family, friends, what have you. Your hobbies, your activities, your work, your friends, what you do. Are they helping you cultivate these 10 qualities? Are they helping you in sustaining your own self, your own identity, your own life? If the answer is yes, being with them, working with them, living with them, that is your dharma. If they are not, that is adharma.
I'm sorry to interrupt you at this point, and I know we haven't finished with answering this question. Maybe if people don't help you, they don't protect you or they respect you, and they're not helping you achieve your dharma or become happy, like you rightly mentioned. But sometimes you cannot get rid of them. You cannot let go of them because they are a part of your life. They might be in the family. They might be in your social surroundings, at workplaces. What then do you do to distance yourself from them?
I believe we should go back to the shlok that we said. Ahito dehajo vyadhir. You're talking about, we can't get rid of them or we can't do... I'm talking about an illness born in the body. That is for you to understand. That is definitely for you to understand. Is it doing my ahit? And it's even, not doing me any favors.
And even if I do ask myself that question, it's not doing a hit or it's not helping me. But there is no way that you can get... A lot of people say the very cliche, forget and forgive, move on. Let's leave. Let's not take it to heart. But is it easy to forgive and forget? Is it easy to let go of someone, although knowing how toxic they are to you and how they're actually not helping you, but making your life difficult?
So how are they making your life difficult? You understand that they are making your life difficult.
Absolutely.
And then we continue with that.
Absolutely.
So we're living with illness.
You're still living with an illness.
You're living with an illness.
I think this is a vicious cycle.
It's not a vicious cycle. It is not a vicious cycle. It is about understanding what is happening to you and how that is affecting your sustenance. It is about understanding how that individual, that situation, how it is affecting you. Mm-hmm. And what do? So then that shlok tells you, Hitamaranyam Oshadham. You look outside of your body, you look outside of your surroundings. You look outside your family and friend circle. You look outside your place of work. You understand what is going to put it right, and you take that as Oshadhi. And it is there. Every single time, whether it is a toxic individual, whether it is a toxic relationship, or someone at the workplace, or somehow something, you always have that Oshadhi. It may be very much in your surroundings, but that is where you need to understand that is going to help you. That is your hit. And you will take that, and at the end of the day, if you can't, then you can't help when you absolutely do not want to be helped.
I mean, this dialogue can go on and on. I think we should make another series altogether about this, because I think this question really affects a lot of people. I know it affects me greatly, and I know that we can go on and understand how to distance ourselves, how to go out of our surroundings, and how do we find that substance that can help us. So, but I do understand where you are coming from. If you have a toxic substance in your body, if it's in your life and it's so intimate to your surroundings, let it go, move on, see how you can find help from the outside.
I don't think you can get closure with forgetting and forgiving. Closure is not something that somebody else is going to be doing for you. Closure is going to come very much from your own understanding, which is what I'm saying. It is understanding how that person is affecting you, what that person or that situation or that event is actually doing for yourself, how it is completely and totally ruining these 10 lakshan, these 10 qualities within your life. It is not making you stable of mind. You are losing control. You are having to lie to either protect the individual or the event or what have you. Every single tick box in this checklist, it's completely and totally taking you away from your dharma. And understanding that is the first step.
You have to understand.
You have to understand.
You have to yourself wake up to that.
You yourself have to do it. That is why dharma has given you a checklist. That is why shastra has given you a checklist. It is for you to decide. It is for you to do.
And it's amazing how one can be actually capable of doing something like that.
Absolutely.
Because once you start understanding is when you wake up. And when you can rectify everything. Wow, I think this one really helped me. Please let me know if this helped you. We are definitely open to suggestions and constructive criticism as well. Let's move on to the next question. I feel karma is a false concept. It has been glorified by the so-called elevated people in order to control the masses who might end up acting upon their animalistic instincts, and the society will go haywire. I know this is a very... we're treading on eggshells here with this question, but I think it's equally important that we do address it.
Yes, it is a very pertinent question, especially given recent times and the sort of recent climate where we are seeing karma, and in particular not good karma, and how it affects. I'm going to ask you to read out the first line of that question.
I feel karma is a false concept.
Okay. Can I continue?
It has been glorified by the so-called elevated people in order to control the masses who might end up acting upon their animalistic instincts, and the society will go haywire. Okay.
Number one, what this question is also addressing, and what we need to also discuss, is the term karma. Karma comes from dukrin karane dhatu. It means action. Is this referring to action? This question. Is this question referring to action? No.
No.
This question is trying to understand the Siddhantic nature of karma. The very fact that, whenever you have an action, you have an opposite reaction, and you have the idea, reciprocated, this, that, and the other. And then there's some discussion about elevated individuals having some sort of, okay. This is a very important question because I have seen the discussion on karma from what Shastras have told us and all the tales and even the Kathas and the Puran and all, to unfortunately what the idea of karma has become today. Let me go on further. First of all, there's the elevated individuals making it true. That is true. Those who have understood karma, those who have understood action and its consequences, the way you can call it nature, you can call it universe, you can call it God, you can call it what have you. However, there is this reciprocated action which is coming back to us. What we are giving, it is coming back. It is coming back in the same, possibly not in the same life, possibly not even in the same intensity, but it does come back. That is basically the crux of the Karma Siddhanta. Now, let us come back to the idea of why it has been discussed. Elevated individuals. Yes, to a certain degree, those who have understood this have provided to the narrative of the Siddhantic nature of karma. Unfortunately, not everybody has understood karma, and therefore not everyone has discussed karma. And for some reason, I think what this question implies is that a karma is a theory which has been implemented into society. I'm not sure I would agree with that. Karma as a law, as a universal siddhanta, has been discussed, and we have, of course, spoken at length all the Ashtadasha Puraneshu, Vyasasya Vachanadvayam, Paropakarah Punyaya Papaya Parapidanam. The fact that pap and punya, you have doing something bad to someone is pap and doing something good is punya. Very basic. But this is very much where the idea stems from. Yes, this narrative has been in a part of discourse, but also one thing which worries me. What was supposed to, even taking aside the universal siddhant and the law of karma, something which was so very simple that what I'm going to sow, so shall I reap, that concept, which was supposed to almost act as a barrier, as what is mentioned in the question, to doing those bad actions and those bad thoughts and deeds, has unfortunately today become sort of an explanation for the pain and suffering that people go through. And I'm sure you must have seen this as well.
Yep.
We were constantly taught, Shastras constantly teach, if you have wealth, you spend it on different societal sort of activities, you give it in dan and charity and you do all sorts. This was the idea, this was the concept, that you are doing this punya. Why? Because you have it, and because you have it, you have the ability
you can further
share it, and you have that ability to do so.
Right.
Yes? What has now happened? Unfortunately, you look at someone who is poor, and what do you say? Isne pichle janam mein kuch kiya hoga? Nahi diya hoga?
Yeah.
We have made the Siddhantic nature of karma, which was supposed to be a sort of a parameter for doing good, into an explanation for the suffering of other people. And I think that is a very, very sad route for this discourse to take.
It is very unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But going back, I think what the question here also states is people, not only the elevated souls as per se, but somebody who has the experience, the confidence, who have been showered with blessings, like you say, Bhagwan ka diya hua sab kuch. They have that ability, that extra factor, which is the reason why they are more elevated, because they have that understanding. But they're using it, uska durupyog. Uska durupyog ho raha hai. So, is that, is it justified now? Why is it happening? and so much. You see everything in the news, you see it on social media, and it really, for me, I think it is the downfall for the word religion, and that can be any.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who have that authority, that understanding, dignitaries who have been respected so well because of their knowledge, but because of some of their actions which they have taken, or the words that they have expressed, the ways that they have done things in their lives, it really is unfortunate, because they haven't, again, like you say, it's a very saddened part of a discourse, because they haven't respected the respect that they have. They haven't reciprocated that in any way. And what are we meant to do? Maybe, and sometimes I do feel that is the reason of the saddened downfall of religion, of faith, which is why people are now are more confused. They have a personal dilemma with religion or by faith, because they feel that the one person or the one source that they could go to is now is contaminated, if I can use that word.
I think there are a few questions all in that little...
I have a dialogue and I shoot like 3-4 questions to you.
So in that dialogue, and I think it's completely true that people the discourse has gone kind of very skewed discourse in terms of quote-unquote religion. But going back to the very concept that I did mention, we have to understand there are distinctions. There are distinctions very much between what dharma is. We can go on in a great charcha about what dharma is and how it is. But let me ask you a question. Today, what kind of sanskar, what kind of education, what kind of shiksha are we being provided? What are we being provided today which will ensure that we have a conscience later on?
Nothing, absolutely zilch. It's
how
just
many
rat
times
race.
I can tell you, of course I'm not going to be naming who do this sort of sometimes they come. Definitely people come to me and I witness this. This is something that I do definitely see in a lot of people. They say that study hard. From the age of 4 and 5, you have parents, I know some of them, who tell their children, study. So why? So that you can get to a good university. Why do you need to go to a good university? So that you can get a good job. Why do you get a good job? So that you can get a lot of money. So that you can simply do things. And nowhere is there any idea of this construct of dharma that has never entered into discourse, nor are people equipped with exactly what to look in for dharma. Why do we go to dharma? Why should we go to dharma? Why shouldn't it's a separate matter. Social understanding is fine. Even your family can teach you how to be human.
Social responsibility,
sure. Adhyatma is a very separate idea. And I don't wish to conflate these two. As a matter of fact, I even posted, I think, a thing, and I got quite a lot of comments on it. When I did actually mention that if you want to be an elevated individual, moral outlook, study ethics. Don't indulge in adhyatma. Adhyatma is something which is very, very different. That is what we are going to get. And this is the sort of understanding which we were supposed to receive as sanskar very much within the family.
Right.
From a very early age, to show that we have our commitment to dharma, we have our commitment to our family, we have a commitment towards our gram, to our village, we have a commitment towards shastra. This is very, very important. These are the reasons why even in Shastra we've been given rin. Gram rin, rishi rin, all these pitri rin. We are supposed to be part of a family unit. Mm-hmm. We are supposed to do good for our village. We are supposed to listen to the gurus, listen to what they have to say, imbibe, learn from them. There are 4 individuals. There are 4 individuals, and this is something which I have really understood for many, many years, through many years of my own process. There are 4 people interested in your problems, in your life. Your parents, 2 of them, your guru, and yourself. Many of us go through our lifetime, sometimes we get out of touch with our parents, sometimes, and many things happen, sometimes the parents are... Many of us go through an entire lifetime without having a guru. So who's alone?
Yeah.
And then we're questioning why we're suffering all alone. Niswartha. That is the term which is actually stated in Shastra. The Guru is supposed to, without swarth.
And of course it hasn't happened. And we see it changing 180 degrees now. And everything is about being selfish. Everything is about money. Everything is about being a part of this rat race. Which is very sad.
I'm not against people earning money. We need to.
No, of course.
That is certainly a purusharth in itself.
Right.
And I think the purusharth concept is so brilliant. Even if people throughout the world could just understand this very concept, that we have dharma, artha, kama and moksha. Sanatan Dharma has not shied away from any of that.
Right.
It is very, very important that you do practice at the right time. You are practicing dharma. You are doing arthoparjan. You are collecting artha. You are doing the kam sevan. You are enjoying whatever you are earning. You are also enjoying the fruits of your dharma. And at the end of the day, of course, we are all hoping for moksha. These are the 4 purusharth. That's why they are called purusharth. They are what we struggle for.
Right.
So we are not shying away from any of this. So I would not say that we're, looking at artha or money in a negative way. But these are the sort of qualities which should have been given in parampara, in a family parampara, should have been given from a very early age. And unfortunately, I don't see that today.
Absolutely.
And certainly not in the education system.
Yes. Yeah.
Certainly not in the education system. You cannot tell me that there is any education system, especially not in this country, which will be able to tell you, why do we study dharma? Why do we practice dharma? What are we supposed to get from it? I have yet to see somebody give a very clear, concise understanding imparted to children that this is the reason why we are studying dharma. This is the reason we practice dharma. Anyhow, that is a very large debate, and especially in this country. In this country, it never would have happened. But this is definitely one of the cases as well.
And because they haven't been taught that, going back and tying it to the question about the elevated souls and individuals, people would not know what is classified as an elevated individual. Do they have certain practices that they do, or do they have a checklist of the knowledge? Because we've never been taught that. We don't know a checklist. Why are we giving certain respect or that degree of elevation to a certain person instead of XYZ?
Well, I think when we talk about a certain individual, I'm not sure exactly who we are talking about in terms of that. If we're talking about a guru, I can definitely state my opinion on that idea. I'm not sure what other elevated individuals they may have been, but definitely in terms of what an acharya or what a guru is, I can definitely try and shed some light on that. When you want to go, especially we're talking in a time where everything is on our phones, a click away on the website, or an app or something on the phone. When you want anything, you want a plumber, you want a kitchen appliance, you want to go out for a meal with your family, out for dinner, every single thing in your life, in your surroundings, you know exactly what to look for.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, absolutely. Everything's on the phone. All the apps.
You're having pain in your tooth, you're going to go onto one of those medical apps. You're going to be able to see, well, this person has got 20, 30 years of experience. They've got so-and-so qualification and degrees. They've got all these sort of instruments, you're not just going to go to any random person, open up your mouth and say, okay, get to work. No.
Yeah.
You want to go out for a meal? You go and you check. What are the specials? What is the chef's specialty? How many years of experience does the chef have? What is the cuisine? What are the ratings? Do we not check all of this? It's on your fingertips. In every single aspect of your life, you can do this. Why? You have the availability with your phone, and you have the intellect and understanding because you're educated. Except one field. You take a wild guess.
Dharm.
Most people do not even know what to look for in a guru.
Yeah.
Most people don't.
And we actually have a Hitopdesh series.
Yes.
Where you have listed the 9
nine traits, yes.
Okay, so
absolutely.
the 9 traits of a guru and the checklist,
Yes.
which people fail to understand.
Well, I'm not going to comment on other individuals, but definitely this is a part of the Acharya Paddhati and the Acharya Parampara. So yes, I think that's a very important thing to understand. And this goes back to the idea of Shiksha and Parampara that should have started very early on. This was supposed to be understood in the family unit, that these are the people who we look up to, these are the people we learn from, they guide us. Why do they do that? Because they have these qualifications, they have these qualities, they've gone through these processes. Today, families don't teach this. I cannot possibly expect the education system to teach this.
Right.
So where are they going to learn?
They're just not.
And then you
start blaming,
and then the blaming starts that so and so individual. But I suppose that's a long discussion.
That will definitely carry on.
I think that's enough for today.
Well, we do have a last question. There are many people who have requested for this question.
Okay. Then.
It's chatpata sa hai. So let's just the last question, and then we'll definitely rest for this evening. Do scriptures forbid drinking alcohol? Can people of faith drink? What is your take on this very, very popular debate?
Oh, if only I had like £1 for every single time someone asked me that question.
You'd be a very rich man.
Very, very rich.
And I think it's only ironic that I would ask you this question on a Saturday night.
I'm very glad that this question was asked and it was put in, because I think we've steered the debate from the very heavy sort of adhyatmic charcha to now something which is
the reason why I wanted to,
which is exactly what this Dharmic Dialogue is about. So it's good. We can discuss at length about all the som ras in the Ved and how this, that, and the other. We have all sorts of madakta and this sort of idea. Look, let me first explain that if you are part of a certain parampara or a sampradaya in which the acharya or the founder acharya or any of the current acharyas have advised against alcohol, I would advise that as a part of that sampradaya you respect that. And that is of course for you, for your sampradaya, and for the sampradaya acharyas. Secondly, if you are in any sort of sadhana or yogic process, then yes, there's a long list of reasons why we do not go for that. Most of it has actually got to do with the tamasic element in alcohol. fine, that is also one of those reasons. But I'm going to keep this answer short, but because I do have a reference from the Charak Samhita, which I do want to elaborate on. Kintu madhyam swabhavena yathaivanam yathamritam ayuktiyuktam rogaya yuktiyuktam yathamritam. Kintu madhyam swabhavena, swabhava say, from the swabhava. Madhya is like anna. Alcohol is like food. Yathaivanam yathamritam. It can be both amrit, which means nectar, and it can also be poison. Ayukti yuktam rogaya, yukti yuktam yathamritam. You have it as you are supposed to, and it is ayuvardhak. It is amrit. And you have it in an incorrect manner, it will create rogaya. It will create rog or illness. And it is very, very clear. Now, of course, this, when we talk about it as food, I suppose we can understand, look, if you're going to be having, I don't know, dal bhat shak rotli, you're going to be having your typical food, 7:30, 8 p.m., there's not going to be any issue with that. Okay? You're going to be having, I don't know, fried food at 3 o'clock in the morning, that's probably not good for you. And I suppose the similar thing can be said about alcohol as well. At least this is what Charak Samhita. And Charak Samhita, mind you, has an entire section devoted to alcohol. The use, the misuse and the abuse of alcohol. And if there anyone who is very interested in Ayurveda, I would certainly advise that you study Charak Samhita. It's beautiful and gives a whole list. But this is the idea. I'm not going to say yes, go for it, no, go for it. I'm going to leave it up to you to understand whether you are part of a sadhana or a yogic process. And if not, then Charak Samhita does mention that the right thing at the right time in the right quantity, it's amrit. It will increase your life. And I'm sure even modern research does sort of say that, there are certain types of alcohol which have, for example, resveratrol, good for the heart, good for the skin, all, good for all those parts of your body and your being. And I suggest that would probably be a good idea if you're having it at the right time, in the right quantity. That's great,
because I have a bottle of red waiting for me. So.
I don't know about that, but maybe not the entire bottle, like we are saying in
just a glass.
In some sort of moderation. But yes, that is the idea. Now, maybe other items of alcoholic nature are probably not good to be going through an entire bottle at 3 o'clock in the morning. That is going to create rogaya. It is going to be rog. And illness. So I think that should answer that question.
I think we can have a lengthy discussions on all the questions that have been posed to us today in various other Hitopdesh series. But I hope that our viewers this evening have a little bit cleared their doubts, and a lot of their confusion has been put to rest. And for some questions, and for some people, it might have triggered more questions, and you are most welcome to write to us on either email or WhatsApp us to the foundation, or get on to the social media platforms. We're on Instagram, like you can see from now. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and our website as well. Thank you for indulging in the Dharmic Dialogue this evening, and I look forward to the next session very, very soon.
Very, very soon. And thank you very much for anchoring so well. Thank you. Mahadev.
Mahadev.